This video will address in particular beginners in the path or those who have the goal or ambition to engage in the Karkariya path. Why? Because all, or at least the majority of us, when we entered the path, well, we had an experience, and this experience, it's interesting to transmit it. Here, I was talking to you about doubts in the path, and I'm going to give you some advice to try to counteract them when you aspire to engage in the Karkariya path, when you aspire to engage in the spiritual journey. Well, every person who is in this process, they are very excited, they are impatient. They too want to see the light of Allah. They are impatient to be able to taste the spiritual experiences that the Karkari disciples testify to, and so they are taken by that until the day they want to take the bay'ah. At that moment, the sheikh asks this person who would like to commit to make the prayer of consultation. Why? Because the sheikh knows perfectly well how the spiritual path works, and he knows that when this person will engage in the path, when they will engage in a path that aims to bring them back to excellence, to the degree of one who worships Allah as if he saw him, well, automatically Iblis, the devil, will attack them and try to insert doubts in their mind. This is what happens for the majority of us. And so the sheikh asks absolutely to do a prayer of consultation. Why? Because when you are going to do a prayer of consultation, you will consult your Lord. You will have an answer that will be very clear. And this answer will be for you, like Noah's Ark, when you will sail in the ocean of the spiritual journey. Well, this Noah's Ark and this prayer of consultation will accompany you or help you when Iblis will try to thwart you. The problem is that satanic insinuations inevitably arrive, and this is what I experienced myself at the very beginning of my spiritual journey when I took the bay'ah. First, we need to contextualize at the time the path was very little known. The sheikh was unknown as well. We were about 20 or 30 disciples in Europe in total, men and women combined. So the path at the time didn't have, I was going to say, the strength it has today. There were a few books, few texts, etc. So it was a journey that was a bit more complicated in quotation marks, which required, let's say, certainty to be sure of what we're doing, because we didn't really have branches to hold on to. And when I took the bay'ah, I remind you that I came from a French Muslim universe, rather salafized, so I took the bay'ah, I saw the light. I saw it before when I did the prayer of consultation, and when I returned home to France. Well, when, for example, there were videos that were published on the page, or when I talked about it around me. Well, people warned me saying, fear God, be careful, it's a misguidance, etc., etc. And the problem is that when it's repeated to you, repeated and repeated, well, after a while, you start to have doubts. This is also the reason why beginners in the path are advised to isolate themselves, following the example of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he met, or in quotation marks, when the angel Gabriel came to manifest himself to him. Well, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, before that, he had isolated himself for many days, all alone, without wife, without children, without anyone, in the cave. It's in the mountain of light. And so this is what is recommended to the disciple, because, well, these people will be causes through which Iblis will try to enter, to sow doubt in their mind. And so at that moment, it was my case. I returned to France, and so I talked about it to my parents, to my close ones, etc. But people were not sensitive, on the contrary. I was convinced that people were going to tell me it's incredible, we're going to believe me on my word. But people told me, but you're crazy. It doesn't exist. It's etc., etc. Gradually, after a few weeks, even after a month, it started to put doubts in my mind. And one day I was sitting to do my dhikr. So I took my rosary. As every day I was doing my dhikr, and during my dhikr, my rosary exploded in my hands. That is to say, I was doing my dhikr. There was no reason, I neither pulled it nor anything. Just, I was doing my dhikr with my hand, and the rosary exploded. The string broke, all the beads were scattered, so I didn't understand what happened. I said to myself, it's weird, it's strange. So I got up to retrieve 1, 2, I took 1, 2, I resumed my dhikr, and again it exploded again, so I didn't understand. 1 month later, I was going to the Zawiyah, and when I went to the Zawiyah, I talked about it to Sidi Sheikh, and he told me it's because you have doubts, and when you have doubts, Allah sends you messages, sends you signs through the elements. They are for you, elements that will accompany you in your spiritual elevation, namely the rosary, namely your attire for praying, namely your muraka, etc. And that's why when the beginner in the path sees signs like rosaries breaking like his muraka, that is stained, that is unusable, or has a problem he must see, in this signs from his Lord which indicate to him that he is in the process of deviating, or in any case, he is in the process of slipping a little and that he must quickly pull himself together. How to quickly pull oneself together? There are several ways to reproduce. The first and most important way is to go see the sheikh, to go to the zawiya, to go see the sheikh as quickly as possible, and talk to him about it, transmit his doubts to him, and the deer will take the darkness of the disciple, and will give him more light, will reassure him, etc. And the second element that is extremely important for the traveler is to be with the group, since Islam is a religion of group. It's a religion where all actions done in group are valued. Prayer in group is more valued than individual prayer. Pilgrimage is a pillar that is done in group, etc., etc. It's the same for the disciple, since the disciple must make sure to be at maximum Dhikr assemblies, to be at maximum with the brothers, at least in the beginnings, to make sure to cling and to attach his heart with the people of light. This is what Allah tells us in the Surah The Cave, when He tells us, be patient, staying with those who invoke their Lord, morning and evening, hoping for His face. I stop here for today.